Warm welcome to our second press conference, the Alternative Media Center FCMC. Today is July 5th, 2017, here in Hamburg. Quick briefing on the procedure. We're going to have two parts. First part, statements from the speakers on the podium, scheduled to take 30 minutes. We have simultaneous interpretation this morning. We have a lot of content this morning, so everything will be very intensive, concentrated and focused. At this point, please note that we have further information in handout form if you need further information. Second part of the press conference will be a chance for you to ask questions to the podium. And afterwards, you are free to come up and ask us if you require individual interviews. We wish to state expressly that this is a platform for the speakers. We have guests representing various different perspectives on the G20. They will explain their take on the current issues. And this is where we as the FCMC offer a framework and a platform for these statements of many perspectives, but that does not necessarily mean that we associate ourselves with the content explained and represented in this press conference. Our aim is to offer as many perspectives as possible of the situation and the topics currently being discussed this week in Hamburg. I'd like to introduce the speakers to you this morning. Sina Schröppel. She represents the campaign Summit of Many. Kathia von Roth is going to give us a current update on Alles Allen and the night demo, I'd Rather Dance Than G20. Michael Martin, representing Welcome to Hell. Trinidad Ramírez, representing guest here at the demonstration of Welcome to Hell. Matthias Wisbar is a representative of the Emergency Legal Advice. Malte is representing the organization Solidarity Without Borders this morning. Connor is a Scottish activist and is working especially on the platform of restriction of immigration. And Ola is representing protest camps, particularly the subject of overnight stay. Sina Schröppel. I'm representing a project called New Hamburg under the umbrella of Summit of Many. Here is a wonderful photo of the central Hamburg and our event. We are preoccupied with the idea who has rights and who doesn't, who is excluded. This originated in a project in Veddel, South Hamburg. And this neighborhood of Hamburg is excluded and does not have a post office, for example. The infrastructure is very isolated. And so we make political demands to rectify this situation for Veddel in the neighborhood. We campaigned in St. Georg, a neighboring neighborhood, and also attracted people who are not necessarily politically active. How did we do this? We organized 11 summits in various neighborhoods of Hamburg. What do you need in your city? What are you missing in your city? Is it on? It's not on. Here in front of me you can see a selection of our handmade products that we collected in our 11 summits all over the city and represent our political sun cream for freedom of travel, young people wishing that his family could have breakfast together. Yesterday afternoon, we have a market of impossibilities rather than a market of possibilities. And we opened our shop with 400 visitors. We have no till. And a post station where you can write to the relevant public authority coping with your topic. Yesterday we had representatives of various neighborhoods who explained our concept to the audience, and we also had the urban citizenship card on display. Now I welcome Kathia von Roth from the organization Alles Ein, activist organization. We hung out, cornern, with many people all over the city yesterday evening. Residents in the neighborhood, many guests came too. Very self-confident, calm, and did not allow themselves to be provoked by the police. In the Alfred-Lückens-Port, in the Max-Brauer-Allee, St. Johannes-Kirche. There were many small people, many small areas where we had people hanging out. And in Arivati Park, this evening, our campaign continues with I'd Rather Dance Than G20, and the biggest rave that the city of Hamburg has ever seen. 6 p.m. starts. We have 600 interested parties, and we have many other inquiries. We will take control of the public spaces for everybody all together. We are purposely on the street with our rave. This is what we like to do. We invite people to take part. And everybody who would like to open new worlds and join us, we are happy to see you. Wonderful tweet yesterday. We've reached the point where crusty bread and tents and is also the anti-capitalist statement. And now Michael Martin from Welcome to Hell. We're the evil guys when it's all about statements by the political establishment. We wish to represent the issues at the G20, and we've created a very varied program. On the 6th of July of the Universal Declaration, the opening declaration, we have guests from Russia, we have from the USA, we have guests from Lampedusa and from Mexico. Trinidad Ramírez will, of course, speak for herself in a moment. what is politically very important for us is that people should be allowed to speak for themselves. So we don't speak for them, and we represent ourselves. This is a very important point about our statement this morning. I must unfortunately say one or two words to the repression which we have experienced in the recent days. We had a press release from the president of the police warning of the dangers of the demonstration by Welcome to Hell. People said that we were full of violent intentions. And 600 people have had a confirmation of registration. We had no restrictions, and we had no forecasts of violence. So we ask ourselves, where does the ruling by and the action by the police is it simply politics, and it's not really about a real forecast of danger, real risk of danger, or it is a more calculated maneuver? Otherwise, it's important for us that people can speak for themselves. And now I will hand over to Trinidad Ramírez. Good morning, everybody, to the European Union and especially Hamburg. My name is Trinidad Ramírez. I come from the Defense Front for the People of the Earth at Atenco in Mexico.
Vengo a denunciar al gobierno mexicano en el marco del G20.
I want to accuse the Mexican government, Enrique Peña Nieto, the President of America, for his repressive practices. And I want to criticize the repressive and exploitative practices in Mexico.
La tierra, el territorio y nuestros recursos naturales, es donde se está haciendo un aeropuerto internacional de la Ciudad de México, justamente en las tierras de Atenco, de donde yo soy originaria.
Our country is being stolen from us, our resources are being taken from us. Near Mexico City, they're building an airport, a new airport, and this is near the town of Atenco, where I'm from.
Legítima de los pueblos originarios.
The global capital is part of a consortium in the airport, and it seems not to matter whether the President of Mexico respects the rights of the people and residents living around the area or not.
Y no es el muro de Trump. Es el muro de Peña Nieto que está dividiendo nuestro pueblo, que está dividiendo nuestras tierras y que ha roto con el tejido social de nuestros pueblos.
A wall is being built, not the wall of Trump, the wall of Peña Nieto. It divides our country. It is destroying our social fabric and our environment.
Trayendo la voz voz de mi pueblo, el corazón de mi pueblo, que es cierto que están imponiendo un proyecto de muerte, pero que no nos han quitado de nuestra mente, de nuestro corazón, el seguir defendiendo nuestra tierra y nuestra dignidad. Tenemos el corazón abierto, pero no estamos vencidos. Y por eso pido en nombre de mis pueblos, en nombre de México, la solidaridad internacional. Ustedes han jugado un papel importante desde el 2001, cuando tiramos un decreto expropiatorio, y hoy creen tenernos en sus manos al querernos arrebatar todo. Pero no nos vencemos, estamos de pie, así. Es la voz de mi pueblo, es la voz de las mujeres, de los niños, de los ancianos, de los desaparecidos, de los encarcelados, de los asesinados. No nos vencemos, compañeros. Yo no puedo hablar su idioma verbal, pero sí, todos tenemos un corazón y una mente abierta, esa mente que la queremos seguir conservando libre, porque queremos ser libres no solo en México, sino en el mundo entero, y que nos respeten nuestra vida y nuestros derechos humanos, que en México se violan minuto a minuto, y aún en los países desarrollados también se violan los derechos. Toda nuestra solidaridad también con aquellos que luchan por ser libres. Aquí estamos. Ya no puedo decir más, pero mi corazón, que es el corazón de México y de Atenco, porque Atenco no se olvida, porque 3 y 4 de mayo rojo no se olvida, porque ya nos encarcelaron, ya nos persiguieron, ya nos sentenciaron hasta 112 años, pero eso no impide que sigamos levantando la voz. Gracias a ustedes, Comunidad Europea, gracias Hamburgo, gracias Berlín, que nos recibió en el 2009, cuando Ignacio del Valle y Felipe Álvarez estaban sentenciados a 67 años y medio, e Ignacio del Valle, que es mi compañero, a 112 años. Y gracias a la organización y el apoyo de ustedes, los sacamos, se los arrebatamos al sistema represor. Y aquí estoy, compañeros, de pie. Soy madre, soy esposa, soy hija. Violaron a nuestras hijas y eso no lo perdonamos. Gracias por poner atención a esta palabra del pueblo mexicano.
I'm here to represent my people. I'm here from this country where everything is being stolen from us, where on the site of the airport, the global capital is taking away our possibilities and our freedoms. I'm here for the heart of Mexico. We are fighting against death. We have already been threatened. We've already received death threats. But this has not destroyed our will to fight against and for the dignity of our country. We ask you to support us in solidarity in our battle. We wish to fight, carry on. We achieved some things, and now we have a directive from the government that has taken away many freedoms and I am here in the name of our children, other mothers, parents of disappeared people who were arrested and killed. We continue to fight. I cannot speak your language, unfortunately. I can only speak my own. Our rights have been violated. We want to be free. We want to fight for our country of Mexico, and we wish respect for our lives and for our existence. It's very important for us that we have international solidarity, and I ask you to give us your support in this. I'm here after many bloody events of the 3rd and 4th of May. We will never forget this. They tried to divide us up. Some people went to prison. A very strong repressive action. Some people were condemned to 112 years in prison. And I want to say thank you for the support that we've received from you in Germany and in Berlin. 67. We have one of us who was condemned to 67 years in prison, and with your support we helped to liberate her. We wish to repeat our call for international solidarity. Thank you very much.
Auf dem Podium als nächster das Wort an Matthias Wisbar, Rechtsanwalt.
Matthias Wisbar, co-organizer of the emergency legal advice. If as a lawyer you're asked to say something about the current situation in Hamburg, the problem is you don't really know where to begin. And that in 3 minutes is quite a tough challenge, so I'm going to try to explain to you the main streams of the situation. Our emergency legal advice issued a press release 27th of June. I've brought it with me and it's here if you want to read it. We forecast that we expect that a state of emergency during the summit of G20 will be introduced. Within this state of emergency, we also predicted that basic rights would be violated. In recent days, we have been confirmed in our expectations. In terms of basic rights, we need to specify that freedom of assembly has been particularly an issue. What we've seen over the last 2 days, we've seen that the freedom of assembly has simply been excluded and no longer exists. And we also wish to point out that the ban on overnight stays in camps mean that the universal freedom of assembly is practically excluded because the people who wish to exercise their basic right have no possibility to stay overnight. And it's also about the way in which the police have implemented this ban on overnight stays. We don't need to say too much about Entenwerder, whereas it was an unequivocal ruling by the court was prevented by the police. And the absolute illegal way that the camp was cleared. In one case, it's about very open violations of legality by the police. Even more dramatic, we believe, the political public sphere seems to permit and admonish what the police have done. The principle of distribution of powers brings with it restrictions that each power should respect. This is a pillar of civil democracy. Distribution of powers is the border between a democratic rule of law and a dictatorship. Another thing that I want to point out, that the police evidently want to portray their enemy by maintaining that the opposition is full of people who want to conduct acts of violence against people in Hamburg. And I wish to take the next 20 seconds just to explain about the investigation committee has requested at G20. They don't see that it's necessary to sit on a podium and explain.
Vielen Dank, Matthias Wisbar. Das Wort hat Malte Albrecht vom Bündnis Grenzenlose Solidarität G20.
Malte Albrecht from the Alliance of Solidarity Without Borders at G20. Many thanks that we have this. You allow us this opportunity to speak today. I have several points of organizational points about the demonstration on Saturday, and I want to make some remarks with regard to the Trinidad's contribution, which was very moving and which showed us all that the murderous threat to the population is real, and that's why we're protesting and is more necessary than ever before. The violence that G20 seems to represent, and this can be symbolized by two figures: 80% of the expenditure on arms, which the G20 states are responsible for, and the second, on the other hand, there are many encouraging developments after the attempts to prevent democratic practices in Hamburg. We've experienced many encouraging gestures by many parties in Hamburg, supportive practices. We're very pleased about this. And I'm glad that at last today I'm able to announce that the organizational details of for the demonstration, we've agreed on the route for the demonstration. We could not. For pragmatic reasons, we've changed the venue for the final announcement of the demonstration. We are going to meet on the Millerntor Platz because we wish to accept the agreement. However, we continue with our lawsuit against the city on the general issue of freedom of assembly, but for pragmatic reasons we changed our venue to the Millerntor Platz. I have a press release for you, which I'm happy to give you afterwards, and I'm available for questions afterwards if you wish. Connor Beaton from Scotland.
Internationalen Plattform zum Thema Behinderung der Einreise von internationalen Aktivistinnen. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Connor Beaton. I'm an activist in Dundee, Scotland, with a few organisations, principally the Scottish Socialist Party, and I arrived here in Hamburg on Friday night. I'm one of thousands who have come or are coming from abroad to join the international mobilisation against the G20. The first thing I want to do this morning is thank the people of Hamburg for the welcome that they have shown me. I've spoken to taxi drivers, shopkeepers, students about why I've come here, and all have been so warm, supportive and interested. And the warm welcome from my comrades both in Hamburg and from abroad goes without saying. I've always been embarrassed by the fact that I know so little about Hamburg. I haven't spent enough time here, which is funny because I was born in Hamburg 21 years ago. So even though I don't live here, I don't speak German, Hamburg has always felt like a home away from home. This is why it hurts so much to see that the instinct of this city's people to invite and to welcome visitors is not shared by the Senate, the government or the police. I know activists who have already come from France, Austria, the Netherlands, have already faced border controls on their way in. I've heard last night that railway workers in France are being asked to look out for left-wing activists who are heading to Germany. This is an outright attack on freedom of movement in Europe, and it is matched only by the attack on freedom of movement in Hamburg by the police, who have shown contempt for the right to protest. I hope everyone who plans to come here to exercise their democratic right to protest, to say the G20 does not represent us or act in our interest, can come here and make themselves heard. That includes my friends from Scotland who are coming tomorrow. But we have another big problem. Many people like me have saved money, negotiated leave from work, and booked transport to take part in a festival of resistance here, and they need some place to stay. And the same authorities who have offered a luxury guest house to Donald Trump say we can't bring a tent. We've seen how heavy-handed the police have been in removing camps so far, even when every effort has been made to comply with the law. This is seen across Europe as an affront to democracy. I would call on all the people of Hamburg who have already done so much to show their opposition to the G20 to also stand up for our right to camp, to ask the government and the Senate why they are taking the side of some of the dictators who are coming here on Saturday over the people. So many powerful people want you to fear left-wing activists like me who are coming from abroad. But camping is not a crime, protesting is not a crime, and politics is too important to be left inside the confines of the Messehallen.
Vielen Dank, Connor Beaton. Und das Abschlusswort hat
Last but not least, Ole Plogstedt from the sleep-in camps in the Altona Volkspark. Good morning, everybody. This sleep-in protest, I founded this protest concept. The day before yesterday it took place. Started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 200 tents were announced, registered, and the idea was to protest and sleep over as a protest in response to the clearance in Entenwerde on Sunday evening last. 2 tents were permitted by the local authorities, and a sleeping tent that had to be open the entire time. There was not permitted with any catering services for the demonstrators. That's kind of a bad joke, isn't it? I had to laugh about the absurdity of this. Everything ran extremely peacefully. At the opening, where there were a lot of press representatives, we explained and demonstrated our protest concept with the sleep-in concept. We received the information from the local authorities that it was too much, or our tents were not cleared by the police. Everything was fairly peaceful, including during the night. Nothing was cleared. There were protesters sleeping overnight. I'm not quite sure how many. I wasn't there myself. Yesterday afternoon, something very absurd happened, which as a cook, chef, I can't understand it really. On the site, the Altona campus on this site has been there for a couple of days, and we had a lorry with food and the police locked down and surrounded this lorry for several hours, preventing us from getting to the food which was in it that had been sponsored, and not allowing people they could help themselves to food. At some point, the police dispersed their, but we found the whole thing rather embarrassing, and I've never experienced anything this as a chef and a catering that the police prevent people from helping themselves to food and drinks. I also cannot really understand the sense and the motivation behind the ban on overnight stays. We're supposed to be a tolerant city, and our hospitality shouldn't come to an end because heads of states are meeting here in the city. Okay, I guess in my garden there's place for a couple of tents. But we have so many green areas in the city. And the argument of the police that they have to protect the green areas, the way the police roughshod over with their vehicles over the grass on the Entenberger, doesn't really make sense. We have to demonstrate, and this is our democracy. 30 seconds left. Okay, actually, I've said everything that I came here to say. I can only shake my head at this situation. I find it so absurd that Hamburg doesn't seem to have a green lawn where people can stay the night, and where we are all painted with one brush, and it is assumed that all of us have violent intentions against residents of the city. We are.
So, jetzt ist die Zeit für Fragen der Medienvertreterin. Bitte sehr. Wenn sich, genau, es gibt ein Mikrofon, ein Funkmikro, was Ihnen gereicht wird. Vielleicht, wenn Sie sich kurz vorstellen und auch sagen, für welches Medium Sie hier anwesend sind. Dafür müsste man das Mikrofon anmachen, damit man alles hört.
Es ist ausgeschaltet worden. Magst du es einmal anschalten?
Das wird jetzt gerade eingeschaltet. Jetzt wird der entsprechende Regler gezogen. Aber wie gesagt, vielen Dank an dieser Gelegenheit an alle diejenigen, die auf dem Podium sitzen und gesprochen haben. Vielleicht.
Darf ich das einmal haben?
Das Mikrofon ist bloß noch nicht an. Und deswegen sage ich jetzt hier noch mal ganz kurz an, dass diese Veranstaltung, diese Pressekonferenz die zweite ist im Rahmen dieses Medienzentrums, Internationalen Medienzentrums FCMC, die zweite. Jeden Tag am Vormittag 9:30 Uhr, wenn es nicht anders angesagt wird, gibt es in diesem Rahmen hier diese Pressekonferenz. Und wir werden in jedem Fall darüber informieren, die entscheidenden Pressemitteilungen an Sie rausgeben. Allerspätestens am Abend vorher werden wir Ihnen sagen, wer auf diesem Podium sitzt. Im Anschluss an diese Pressekonferenz, auch das kann ich jetzt schon mal ansagen, wird hier eine Pressekonferenz stattfinden, organisiert von der Initiative, dem Bündnis Welcome to Hell, eine eigene Pressekonferenz und anwesend sein wird. Dann auch wieder Trinidad, Ramírez und dazu kommt in dem Fall Omar, Esparza. Das Ganze heute um 11:30 Uhr hier an dieser Stelle organisiert vom Bündnis Welcome to Hell. Und jetzt die Frage.
Ja, Walter Hasselbring, ich bin freier Journalist. Erstmal eine kleine Bemerkung zu dem Slogan Welcome to Hell.
Small remark about the slogan Welcome to Hell. We are in hell. And we can photograph the slogan here.
En México hay un movimiento que se llama los Zapatistas, que han ocupado Tierra en México hace 1994, pienso. Y mi pregunta es, ¿tiene relaciones con estos movimiento?
Könnten wir die Frage nochmal auf Deutsch
Ja, also
bekommen?
es gibt in Mexiko eine Bewegung, die heißt Zapatista.
There's a movement in Mexico called the Zapatistas. They've occupied a lot of land in Mexico. And the question to Trinidad is, does she associate herself with the Zapatistas?
Trinidad. Sí.
Sí, sabemos del
Yes.
movimiento, son nuestros hermanos.
We know
Sí hay
that
un
they are our
vínculo
brothers.
como hermanos de lucha,
There is a link
respetando sus formas.
to these brothers in our fight.
Es el vínculo que hay. Incluso en el 2006,
In 2006,
de abril del 2006,
25th of April,
subcomandante Marcos en Atenas,
um,
recibimos
our
la convocatoria.
Commander Marcos was with us in.
Ja, wir kennen diese Bewegung. Sie sind unsere Brüder. Wir haben Beziehungen zu ihnen. Wir sind Brüder im Kampf. Wir respektieren, dass wir unterschiedliche Kampfformen verfolgen. Aber
We respect that we have different styles of campaigning and fighting,
wir haben ihn dort empfangen.
and we welcomed Commander Marcos to Atenco in 2006.
Vielen Dank. Hier ist eine nächste Frage.
Doch, das geht. Ich verstehe das nicht.
Raphael Bergmann, Free Radio from Erlangen. Question about Kornen, where water cannon was used by the police. Can you tell us something about this? Kathia? I wasn't personally involved in this. Everything that I experienced yesterday, everybody who was joining in the protests, very calm, very focused. A concert took place in the Arivati Park, and the police came in with loudspeakers from the side, which was very disruptive, and it was very difficult to understand what was being said, so that we couldn't really understand the announcement that water cannon would be used. I left that area. Afterwards, we heard that the Neue Pferdemarkt and the Arivati Park was cleared with the use of water cannon by the police.
Ja, dazu noch etwas von
Matthias, Wisbar, on this point, you asked about what was the point of it all. We did ask ourselves. We can only explain it as a measure that was designed to disrupt and prevent. Legality was not really to be seen in this action. Whichever way you wanted to say, whether it was just Kornen, in other words, people just hanging out, or if you were to say that it was under the rights of freedom of assembly, it didn't really have a legal response what the police did. So from that point of view, we can agree on one point, that we've experienced a very open violation of basic rights in Hamburg.
Vielen Dank. Da ist eine weitere Meldung.
Question? What anti-democratic actions do you expect to happen in the next few days? What will happen to us now? Well, I just wanted to say, the sky's the limit. We can imagine all kinds of things. Demonstrations are due to take place. I still have the pictures in front of me, the way Herr Duda from the police acted in front of the Rote Flora theatre some years ago. Further campaigns are planned. Various implications, both verbal and non-verbal, that we're going to break you. Radio Free Erfurt. We're at the moment on the point of executive law. What actions could be taken against this? Well, it doesn't seem to be the red-green coalition. I can only imagine that there's a civil disobedience and protest against this particular kind of repressive practice. We're living in a civil rule of law, and we require a certain swath of the population and actors in this political arena who we call on to make a statement against this particular kind of repressive practice. Kathia von Roth wishes to remark that the confidence and calmness with which the protesters have shown also influenced the action taken by policemen and policewomen. We had some situations which were evident provocation by the police, were peacefully resisted and very strongly, with great calmness, and this energy was really visible and palpable and in our protest. So if in doubt, here we are, and we are calm and we can do something. Matthias Wismar, I wish to add to that. The three Berlin squads from Berlin who visited have really shown us how you can be allowed to relinquish your duties. Ola wants to add something. The 10 tents which I'd spoken about, we're waiting for the ruling from the local courts whether they can stay or not. People who wish to come to the camp your tents will be taken away by police officers. I'm not sure what the situation is as long as the jury's out on the ruling, but however, let's see. Let's see if we get our 10 tents at least permitted. But it would be cool if people who had space in their gardens could allow people to stay. That if you could accommodate protesting guests, that would be great. Opportunity for questions, individual interviews. If you wish, please come up to the podium, let us know. So now I want to invite you tomorrow at the same time, where there'll be a press conference here in Hamburg. And we look forward to welcoming you to tomorrow.